So over the last several years, smartphone cameras have become increasingly more important, especially with social media apps like Instagram, Snapchat, and selfies becoming a thing. And ultimately, picture quality is always going to be the most important thing when it comes to smartphone cameras. But what's really going to differentiate one smartphone camera from the next are the features. And the LG V30 and the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 are arguably two of the best smartphone cameras on Android right now. But what exactly do they provide in terms of features? Let's put these two side by side and see exactly how they stack up. So I figured the easiest way to approach this video is to break things down into three categories. We'll start off with the raw specs of each camera, which is pretty simple and straightforward. Then we'll dive into the camera features and then cap things off with the video features, which is where I think things start to really get interesting between these two cameras. Now, as far as picture quality, we'll save that for another video when we have a final production unit of the LG V30. So make sure to subscribe if you aren't already and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on that video when it goes live. Starting off with the specs of these two cameras, you have dual camera systems on both the LG V30 and the Galaxy Note 8, but on the V30 you have a 16 megapixel main sensor at f1.6 with optical image stabilization, and the secondary sensor is a wide angle lens at 13 megapixels and f1.9 with no optical image stabilization, but doesn't really need it because it's such a wide angle, and the focus is set to infinity. Over on the Galaxy Note 8, you have two 12 megapixel sensors. The main sensor is f1.7 and the secondary sensor is f2.4, and it's also a telephoto lens giving you 2x optical zoom, and they both feature optical image stabilization. Camera features can sometimes be underrated, and while picture quality will always be the #1 most important aspect of a camera, it's the features that differentiate these cameras and make them a lot more fun to use. Starting with the LG V30, when you open the camera app, all the camera's shooting modes are under the mode button, which you can find at the top of the viewfinder, next to the settings button, or on the left if you're holding the phone in landscape. There are quite a lot of modes here, which can look a little overwhelming at first, but it's really not as bad as you might think because many of these are fairly self-explanatory or have been on Android for an extremely long time that you probably already know what they are. You have your standard auto mode, of course, which is the default and most commonly used mode for a good majority of people. And then to the right of that, you have the manual mode for photos that gives you control over everything like white balance, exposure, ISO, shutter speed, and has built-in focus peaking to make it easier to tell when things are in focus. There's other typical modes as well, which we won't really go too in depth with since they can be found on pretty much every Android phone, such as slow motion, time lapse, panorama, and 360-degree panorama, which is the same thing as a normal panorama, but it takes a spherical image that will show you everything in front of you, behind you, and above and below you. You'll also find a food mode, which is specifically designed for taking images of food, but it doesn't really seem to do all that much aside from giving you the ability to adjust the white balance. If you're familiar with the LG G6's camera, there's 4 modes baked into the V30's camera that you might recognize right off the bat. You have snapshot, matte shot, grid shot, and guide shot. The only difference here is that they're a lot easier to get to on the V30, whereas on the LG G6, the process of finding these modes were a little more convoluted, but otherwise the modes are exactly the same and pretty simple to use. Snapshot lets you take a photo and instantly see the preview on the bottom half of the viewfinder. With matte shot, you can take 2 photos simultaneously or one at a time, which the camera will then stitch together, and this can be done with a combination of both rear cameras, one front-facing and one rear camera, or front-facing on both. Grid shot is basically a super quick and easy way to make a collage of 4 photos, 4 short 3-second clips, or a mixture of the two. Finally, with guide shot, this lets you use an image as a guide to make it easier to take another photo with the exact same composition and framing. The nice thing about all of these modes is that all the photos are taken as a square, so they are instantly ready for apps like Instagram. The last couple of modes that LG offers here are Snap Movie and Pop Out. With Snap Movie, tapping the record button will record a 3-second clip, and holding down the record button will let you record up to a minute of footage. So this essentially is for those situations where you just want to record something quick and short, and this mode makes it really easy to do. Pop-out mode, on the other hand, is a pretty cool mode that lets you add a few different effects like fisheye, black and white, vignetting, or lens blur to the outer edge of the photo to make everything in the center of the frame really stand out. You can also change the shape of the frame to a circle or a hexagon and mix and match the effects, giving you a decent amount of flexibility with this mode. Other features that you get with this camera are a bunch of predefined filters that let you change the look of your photo before you take it, but the feature that I really like the most is the camera roll toggle that allows you to see a preview of all the photos that you've taken without having to jump into the gallery. Moving over to the Galaxy Note 8, the Note 8 offers a lot of the same camera features as the V30, but there are some features that the Note 8 has that you won't find on the V30. Swiping in from the left will get you to all the camera's different shooting modes like Auto, Pro, which is Samsung's version of manual mode, Panorama, Slow Motion, Hyperlapse, which is the same thing as a time lapse, and just like the V30, the Note 8 also has a food mode. There's also Virtual Shot, which isn't necessarily new. It's been on Samsung's camera for a while now, but it lets you capture a 360-degree image of an object by circling around it, and then you can later view it by tilting the phone left or right, or panning around it with your finger. The Note 8's camera has its own set of camera filters, which you can get to by swiping in from the right, and you get a much bigger variety of them, whereas with the V30, the options are pretty limited. The Note 8's camera also lets you customize the photos with different stickers to add a little bit more personalization, and if you're a big fan of Snapchat, you'll love the Snapchat S filters that's built right into the camera. The newest feature to Samsung's camera is the live focus mode that's made possible by the Note 8's dual cameras. With live focus, you can take photos with a background blur or depth effect, but the difference between Samsung's take and other phones that have a similar feature is that you can adjust the background blur before you take the photo and after the fact. The live focus mode also allows for dual capture, which means you can take a photo from both the main lens and the telephoto lens simultaneously every time you take a live focus photo. So as far as camera features and shooting modes, these two cameras actually stack up pretty well, but what really separates them are what they're able to do with video, especially in the case of the LG V30. The big highlight to the V30 is its ability to shoot log footage. LG is dubbing it Cinelog, and if you've shot with a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, you may already know what log is, but in a nutshell, this lets you shoot a completely flat image for more flexibility in post, and log footage has better dynamic range, giving you more detail in the shadows and highlights. If you don't want to mess with color grading and color correcting or any sort of post-production, LG offers a more simple shooting mode called Cine Video that offers a variety of color grading presets, which makes it really easy to give your footage a certain type of appearance directly in camera. Another feature that's really cool with Cine Video is the point zoom feature. So with most smartphone cameras, if you want to zoom in, you can only do it along the center of the frame, but with point zoom, you can zoom in on any area that you select, making it really easy to put emphasis or draw attention to a particular subject. On the Galaxy Note 8, video recording isn't quite as impressive, but there isn't any phone right now that can really stack up to the V30's video recording capabilities. There's no option for recording in log or any built-in color grading presets, but the Note 8 does offer manual controls for recording video and the ability to shoot in 4K, so you do still have a nice set of recording options, even if the Note 8 doesn't put a direct emphasis on video as the V30 does. So that wraps up this camera features comparison between the LG V30 and the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. Would you rather have the live focusing capabilities and the Snapchat S filters of the Note 8, or would you rather have the video recording capabilities of the LG V30? And which one do you think is the better camera overall in terms of features? Let us know down in the comments section below, and as always, give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, subscribe to the channel, which is also down below, and hit that notification bell while you're at it so you don't miss out on future videos. And as always, check us out on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Google+, all that good stuff will be linked down below. And check out the website as well, AndroidAuthority.com, because we are your source for all things Android.